It's trash day, I'm putting you out, it's trash day. Putting you out, it's trash day. Putting you out of my mind. It's trash day, I'm putting you out, it's trash day. I'm putting you out, trash day, I'm putting you out of my mind. Now I'm gonna clean up, now I'm gonna clean up, now I'm gonna clean up the house. I'm taking all your garbage, taking all your garbage, taking all your garbage.
It starts with some beer, so you shouldn't have fear. Two garbage guys with facts, but they both still have tact. It's that time at last for the best damn podcast. It's Can Crusher Day.
Hey, it's Martinez riding solo today. The English professor will cover AEW for me later on as he touches on everything. In the nutshell, WWE sucked for me this week. But nonetheless, there's going to be a change in Can Crusher. Each one of the correspondents is kind of going to get their own segment to cover something. So each week, you might have Paul doing Smackdown, and then the next week he'll get Raw, or the next week he'll get AEW. They're not going to get the same thing each week. It's unfair. There's about 12 to 16 hours of wrestling that we like to cover on Can Crushers. My wife allows me to watch 10 to 16 hours of wrestling because I watch WOW. None of the other guys watch it. I'm watching OVW. Nobody's watching that. Chad and I will cover MLW because Chad's back next week. NWA is there. I think it's probably my favorite hour of wrestling right now. They want to cover the AEW. They want to cover the NXT. They want to cover Raw and SmackDown. That's fine. They can come back and cover that. But this is just where we are. That nobody wants to spend 18 hours, watching all the events. I understand that, guys. I really do. My wife lets me. I'm going to take it. This is something that I want to do in the future or now, however this works out. But that's where we are. So a little bit of a change is coming in Can Crushers, but I will guarantee you that you're not going to just hear Paul on AEW the whole time because that's not fair for the English professor or Soup or something. So each week there should be a revolving door, and if it's up to me to figure it out, to schedule this for these guys, that's what it's going to be. But nonetheless, we're in the midst of a huge six-man tournament, the Trial of Trios tournament, the Terror of Trios, nonetheless. We have a six-man tournament going on, and some of the matches that we have already in the docket, the NWO destroyed the Sheepherders. New Day is beating up on the York Foundation pretty bad today. First round match, the very first one, the Wild Samoans and Demolition, went really, really tough. I wasn't sure where it was going to go. I really wasn't. I like both teams. I just wasn't sure, but the Wild Samoans pulled away. Legacy defeats the Machines actually shocked me. I thought you guys would be more about the Machines. I really did. Hogan Machine, Andre Machine, Piper Machine, Big Machine, Little Machine, Tiny Machine, all those machines. They were just interchangeable because they're machines. Machines are interchangeable. I thought maybe, just maybe, the Machines were going to pull away, but Legacy won that one. And the one that I'm pissed off at Can Crusher Nation. Guys, I'm disgusted. Why didn't you vote for the It Girls? The Oddities are a sideshow. They were a sideshow in the WWE. They're a sideshow wherever. The It Girls are the It Girls. Plus, we've had 2 of the 3 on the podcast. Jaylee was one of the first women on Can Crushers. Callie, we have sound bites making fun of me. We've talked to her at the OVW Combine. Give your girls some props. Why did the It Girls lose to the Oddities? Because you don't know who they are? That means you're not listening to Can Crushers, because 2 of the 3 were on Can Crusher Spotlight. I'm disappointed there, guys. I really am. The It Girls should have beaten the Oddities. They make it to the next round, they lose to the Varsity Club or Triple Threat or something. Okay. But the Oddities, you let the It Girls lose to the Oddities. Send me an email, cancrusher69@gmail.com, telling me why the hell you thought Kurgan and Earthquake or Luna or whatever was better than the It Girls. Again, that's cancrusher69@gmail.com. Guys, it is a busy week for Can Crushers. Actually recording this Saturday night to post it Sunday sometime in the afternoon. Big book sale going on. All my mother's estate doing stuff like that. I'm drinking some Busch Light tonight, so that's what we're drinking. But let's get into some wrestling. And I'll step back. We're going to do this completely off the wall tonight, however I pull it up on my phone. So, did you guys see that Tuesday night there is now a show? It's actually going to start November 5th. That it's going to be hosted by Renee Young and Booker T. Paige and Christian were also on it. I watched some of it. It's a nice little like MLB Live, NFL Live type of show. Wraps up the week prior to Smackdown. It gives some little banter back and forth. I like it. The thing that I'm not going to like about it is it's going to start 11 o'clock on Tuesday nights on FS1. I'm not recording that. I'm sure as shit can't stay up for that because I have to be to work in a couple hours. So what are you going to get from that? It's a studio show, okay? I just don't know what you're going to get. Like, it was on early this week because it followed the Yankees and the Astros game, which the Astros won, which the English professor is mad because Brett Gardner didn't bunt. And he'll say that again in a few minutes, 20 minutes or so. But it's a great concept. All sports are doing it now. There's the MLB channel. There's the NFL channel. NBA has their own channel. NHL is getting one. Tennis has a channel. Golf. You understand that. So I'm all right with the show. I love Renee Young. I've always been a Renee Young supporter. Booker T, whatever. Interchangeable with any one of the other guys, Christian or Paige or however we're going to do this, fine and dandy. I like Renee Young as the hard-hitting, media relations person. I just don't like that it's on 11 o'clock at night. Who's going to watch that? We're already bitching about Monday nights being 3 hours, being on until 11. Now with Monday being the B show, what? I mean, look at the draft. This week's WWE content was not good in my eyes. Nothing was like, And the same thing on Wednesdays. When I talk WWE content, folks, I just want to tell you where I'm coming from here in the next waves that we're going. WWE content for me is Raw and SmackDown. I will always refer to the war of AEW and NXT. But even NXT wasn't that great this week. It really wasn't. So I don't know what's going on. I really don't. I'm going to cover Raw and SmackDown right now. Roll into my OVW report. Because we haven't had one of those in a while. And I'm yelling at Chad Miller and Al Snow all of a sudden. They need to release that earlier. They're releasing it, Sunday night at like 5 o'clock, Monday afternoon. Well, we're now giving our recaps on Sundays. Sometimes Saturday night because, I have a life as well. The show's taped on Tuesday. Let's just shift that over, release it on Friday night. Football is going to be ending soon, high school football. So that would be something cool to roll into, to have OVW to watch Friday night so I can talk about it. It's not all about me, but you could roll that into Friday nights and say, hey, on YouTube or on the channel is going to be OVW released Friday nights for those who have not watched it live on Tuesdays, or get it streaming live on Tuesdays so I can watch it, because I can push NWA back to Wednesday as soon as I get out of work, because it's only an hour and it's pre-taped on YouTube anyway, and they're continuing to put them up at 6:05 on time. So let's just shift stuff around. But now you see that now I'm just bantering for me and getting everything from me. But I do want OVW, because I want to tell you guys what's going on. I really do. But let's talk about Raw or SmackDown right now, because we're going to get that out of the way, shift into other gears. Becky starts the show on Raw and SmackDown because Sasha's not clear. It's more about the draft, and that's what it was. It was the draft. Seth Rollins stays on Raw. No kidding. Brock goes to... The first round was just champions going where they belong. Okay, fine and dandy. Almas and Ali. Good match for Almas. Not a good match for Ali. Still not an Ali fan. I think he's DJZ all over again. Kabuki Warriors go to Raw. Daniel Bryan to SmackDown. Rusev, of course, is going to Raw because Lana and Bobby are already there. Aleister Black on Raw. The Viking Raiders win their tag team championships. That's nice. That is nice. They should have a long time ago. They really should have a long time ago. But then on the next pick, Rude and Zig go right to SmackDown. So the writing was on the wall that they need to go over there. It was just so random. It really was so random. There was nothing that I really said, oh man, I wish I really would have stayed awake for all of Raw. Because I didn't. I didn't see the Firefly Funhouse. The Firefly Funhouse get burned down. And why does everybody have to burn down Bray Wyatt's house? A couple years ago, Randy Orton burned down his, what was he calling it back then? I was going to say compost, but it wasn't that. Whatever. He burned down his house there. Now Seth Rollins burns down the Funhouse, which leads into a match being announced. Anything goes. No matter what, a pinfall can happen. No disqualifications. You can't stop the match between Seth Rollins and Braun Strowman at Crown Jewel on a Thursday at 2 o'clock in the afternoon when most of America is working. I can't wait to watch that. I'll be done at work. And Thursdays, there's usually nothing going on. And I keep saying, will we cover it? Will we cover it? I doubt we'll cover it. I really do. Because I don't care about Brock Lesnar and this guy or Braun Strowman in that stupid fight. I don't care. I don't care about who the best tag team in the universe, world, millennium is going to be between any of those tag teams in that match. So this is us covering Crown Jewel right now, a week and a half ahead of time. We're not covering it. You're not going to see Daniel Bryan there. You're not going to see KO there. You're not going to see Sami Zayn there. And you're not going to see the women there. If anything, you know that the Can Crushers love women's wrestling. And we support women's wrestling. And we say women's wrestling is half the battle. Half the reason why we watch Raw or SmackDown. Because it is Sasha. It is the changing of Bayley. It's Charlotte, just not with a title. It's Becky. It's Dana Brooke looked great. You know, it's all of that. It's that we want the Iconics back. It's that I'm excited for WWE 2K20 as well. Might be calling off on Tuesday playing that. Don't tell the wife. But it's all of that. Women's wrestling is the hot spot right now. I don't want to watch Ricochet against Shelton Benjamin. That was spotty. That was very rest heavy. And when you listen to our interview this Wednesday with Beef Stew Lou Marconi, and if you go back and listen to the two from the previous 2 weeks, Jumpin' Jim Brunzell, B. Brian Blair, they're all on the same page. that it's not wrestling anymore in WWE. So we're going to skip over as much as we can. We want to talk more about the NWA, the MLW, the OVWs, what's going on in IWC, what's going on in Imagine Wrestling. There was an event tonight in Imagine Wrestling, but with prior engagements of me doing stuff family-oriented, I really couldn't go. And I bummed about that. Indie wrestling is where it's at. Sports entertainment is losing fans. Shifting gears right over to Smackdown. Shinsuke against Roman for the IC title. I was actually like, holy crap. I would like to see Roman as the IC champ. Is this going to happen? Is this really going to happen? No, it's not going to happen. Because Corbin's going to come out and hit Roman in the face with his scepter. And it's going to set up a match for much later down the line. But it doesn't. It sets up a match for tonight where Roman and Daniel, because Daniel came out to make the save, it's going to take on Shinsuke and Corbin. But that was only made for one other reason as well, because Hulk Hogan now doesn't have a captain because Rollins is gone. So now Roman Reigns is the captain for Hulk Hogan's team, which is a crown jewel, which, 5-on-5, that's called the Survivor Series match, the next pay-per-view that was going to happen. Why not have it there? Team Flair, Team Hogan. Yuck. Gable against Curtis Axel. Enthralling match. Unbelievable match. I know you're pushing Shorty Gable and giving him his props for being a real great wrestler. But give him somebody. You guys have buried the B team, and now you're going to individually bury Curtis Axel and then Bo Dallas. I don't know what you're doing, Vince, Shane, Steph, but I love wrestling. I will watch the hours and hours of wrestling. I'm not entertained anymore. In regards to the next match, Heavy Machinery and New Day against Rude and Ziggler and the Revival. First thing they mention is Kofi Kingston on the trail back to his SmackDown championship. How about give him a rematch? No, you are trying to sweep Kofi under the rug of ever being a champion right now. Sweep him under. Don't give him a championship. He's still on the same brand that Brock's on. Why can't he have it be on SmackDown? Why can't he have a rematch for that WWE Championship? So it happens before Crown Jewel. Okay. So he doesn't win. Okay. But it always happens. Oh, but are we going back to the wild card rule where there's no automatic rematches? That worked well, didn't it? Worked real well. Thus the brand split. And they're on the same brand. And he starts the show that your champion's not on. Okay. Deal. Sweep Kofi under the rug. He's been entertaining. Next thing out is Bayley and Sasha come out. I love Bayley's new music. Again, it all is around the women. I love Bayley's new music. I love the new attitude. I love how she's bad. This whole segment with The Miz, the beginning was great. The ending was horrible. Absolutely horrible. As once Bayley says she's an inspiration and life sucks, then you die, then it just gets horrible. Nikki Cross comes out and promises to hug Bayley once she wins the six-pack challenge. Dana says it's a new beginning, flex appeal. And then the rest of them come out. Lacey and Mella and Mandy and Sonya. For a while, Fire and Desire just destroy everybody. And I was like, good. Not that I want them broken up. One of them gets a push. One of them. Hoping it's Sonya. I've always loved Sonya. Have a little something for her. I'm like, okay, it's gonna... No. Nikki Cross just lost the tag team titles. And now she's your number one contender for the SmackDown Championship. Why? Why can't it be Mella again? Mella makes sense. Why can't it be Sonya or Mandy? Dana's Dana. You've buried Lacey recently. So now since you have Nikki, that's going to be your champ. That's going to be your number one contender. Well, Alexa's sitting over there. Why wasn't Alexa in this match then? Is that going to be the feud that you have, that Nikki wins, now she's the champ? You're taking it off of Bayley already? Why are you going to be taking it off of Bayley? This whole Bayley thing of being bad, and maybe Sasha's going to be the one gets fed up with Bayley being so bad, and Sasha turns good in a little bit. Let them run with this for a while. Everybody still wants to see Sasha against Bayley. When is that going to happen on the main roster? I'm going to go back and just watch it on NXT TakeOver again. Because it was that good. It was that good. Braun against Gulak, this was absolutely ridiculous. Gulak's trying to help Braun, so he's got a 345 slide PowerPoint ready for him. And Braun just beats his ass. Nothing about either one of these. So many vignettes in between that just didn't catch my eye. And then you have Roman and Daniel against Corbin and Shinsuke. Daniel Bryan pinned Shinsuke. That's Raw and SmackDown for you this week. It wasn't good. It wasn't. And I didn't even break down the matches. Because I didn't care. Like, they're going to get less and less time. Because you guys should know more about the NWA. Watch that. It's a great show. Listen to the Jim Cornette podcast. Jim Cornette Experience. And he'll tell you about what goes on behind the scenes, I guess. Not back scene, behind the scenes of NWA. You're going to see people like Thunder Rosa coming on that show. You're going to see people like the Dawsons on that show. You're going to see that character be built. And you're going to remember, oh man, that one guy that was on there, Josephi, he looks like Black Bart. Remember watching that when we were young? Remember watching Black Bart? Yeah, that's what he looks like. AEW is the same way. You can spin it around and say, you know, this guy looks like this guy. This guy looks like this guy. I'll get my 3 cents of AEW in right now. Hangman Page to me is Barry Windham. It's awesome. It really is. So, yeah. All right, we're going to take a break. OVW has been recorded for a little bit, so I'm going to just slide that right in right now. And then you'll hear Al Snow talking about collar and elbow. Maybe we need to ask Al for a new commercial. Maybe something where he says, "Can Crusher." No, but I'll cover OVW, and then we won't talk to Al Snow, but we will have the commercial, and then I'll be back, and we'll talk some more wrestling. Probably the Wednesday Night War, half of it. So the English professor talks about the other half.
Hey, everybody, all the Livewire fans out there, and you wrestling fans, I love you all. This is the Livewire KTD, and you are listening to the Can Crushers Podcast. You want all the news on wrestling? Tune in to Can Crushers Podcast and listen to all the top wrestlers out there today. You got the top OVW wrestlers. You got me. You got Randall Floyd. You got Jay Lee. You got some of the best today being trained by some of the best on Can Crushers Podcast. Tune in, listen, learn, love, laugh.
OVW 1053. Guys, if you're not watching these live, I don't know what you're doing. I don't know what you're doing. Hollywood Smooth comes out, and right off the bat, man, his promos have gotten so much better. Not that they were bad, but Justin Smooth, we need to reach back out to him, have him come back on. And Hollywood Smooth has been carrying OVW is the heavyweight champion. And he's just in a bad mood. He really is. He comes out, he's talking about how he was going to beat Jax Dane's ass, and he's just ready for it. But he's got some other business to do earlier in the weekend, and he just is just talking, building this up. And Smooth says he's been there every week. Jax is not. Michael Hayes wasn't there every week. Corey Storm, he's not a champion. Dustin Jackson and Rhino, no. Jax doesn't deserve a title shot. Well, Jax comes out, and he is pissed. He says he's a former NWA heavyweight champion, and Smooth, just here's a list of people that he beat his ass. More and more and more. It's just this match I cannot wait for. I really can't. Knowing Jax just a little bit better, knowing Smooth, just I know what they're going through, and man, these guys are putting it on the line for you. Nightmare Cup match is a legacy of brutality. Cash Flow and Hood Ninja, they defeat the Mobile Homers, Adam Revolver and Ted McNailor. Yeah, Ted McNailor, your commentator, gets in the ring with Adam Revolver. And yeah, spoiler guys, it's the legacy of brutality that Josh Ashcraft talked about a few weeks ago, and it's going to talk about here in the very near future again. Those guys are just on fire right now. On fire. Beating people's asses. It starts with the television title gauntlet match. The Real Deal defeats Action Cove. Man, Cove just cannot pick up a victory in this gauntlet. And then Randall Floyd defeats Hernandez. Man, I'm telling you, Hernandez has been in 97.5% of these TV gauntlets. He is the man of the gauntlet. Win or lose, he is the man. He needs better props in OVW. He deserves a heavyweight title shot once this whole mess, because he's beaten Corey Storm. I said this months ago. He beat Corey Storm. He beat Justin Smooth. He never got a heavyweight title match in OVW. Drew Hernandez, I'm pulling for you all the time. You deserve a shot. Unless he loses the gauntlet. Randall Floyd defeats William Lutz. Lutz is, when he was on the show, he was on a win streak. Not so much right now. And then, coming out is Dustin Jackson. They both want Tony Gunn. They both want him. They're fighting back and forth. They both get thrown out. Tony Gunn comes out. Ref separates them. Nothing happens. Well, a lot happens, but you guys need to watch it. But I'm just saying, Tony Gunn is still the champ. Tony Gunn is still the champ. It's unbelievable. Amon appears in the rafters, and he's telling Sinbodi that all hell is going to break loose on October 29th. And then Justin Smooth says, hey, Jax Dane, remember I talked to you earlier? You have a match? Well, your match right now against Max the Impaler. Max has been running roughshod all over the women's division. And I am one that complete supporter of Megan Bayne. Megan Bayne, one of the strongest women I've ever met in my life. Legit met in my life. She would tear me and one of those old phone books apart with a pinky and a thumb. She's unbelievable. But Max the Impaler has been running roughshod all over this OVW right now. Megan, I'd watch out. So nonetheless, Max now has to fight Jax. And they just get out of the way of street justice. Because that shifty, no good, one of a kind Hollywood Smooth tries taking them both out because that's just the way he is. Guys, if you're not watching OVW Network, $4.99 a month. $4.99 a month. Remember when WWE used to say it every segment? I'm going to start saying that. It's $4.99 a month. You get all the shows. You get all the Saturday night specials. You get a ton of stuff. And in time, knowing what's coming, this $4.99 is going to blow your mind. Sign up now, OVWNetwork.com, $4.99 a month. Coming up next, I ramble about some more wrestling. But right now, we go to the man, Al Snow, to hear about Collar and Elbow, the greatest wrestling brand out there. And when you check out, you should type in Can Crushers for that promo code.
Wrestling. A love and a passion we all share. I've started a wrestling brand. The wrestling brand. A brand founded on the aspects of wrestling. Two entities working together to create a product that connect emotionally for people everywhere. Collar and Elbow is the brand. Passion and love for wrestling is the drive. I am Al Snow, and this is Collar and Elbow, the wrestling brand.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Randall Floyd, the three-time Ohio Valley Wrestling Television Champion, and you right now are listening to the Can Crushers podcast.
So before I get into NXT, because the English professor is going to cover AEW, I want to talk a little bit about NWA. I know I said it's an hour long, but I could give you an hour recap of NWA. Hot shit is happening on NWA. Billy Corgan is making this happen. I'm excited just because it's old school. I love it. I was talking to a couple buddies today over some beers saying, listen, the matches are what we grew up with. You have Trevor Murdoch against Ricky Starks. All right, this one twisted my mind. I know Trevor Murdoch. He's been a multi-time champion in other federations. Holy crap, this is the guy that's going over. No, Ricky Starks goes over. I don't know who the hell Ricky Starks is, but he goes over. So that twists me a little bit. But then you go from there, you have Allison Kay against Ashley Fox. You know Allison Kay. You know her. She's the NWA Women's Champion. 100 and so many days holding that championship right now. She wins. She rolls out. She does a kick-ass promo. She shakes Ashley Fox's hand. They go to the curtain. Pow. Boom. This is the way we're doing this. But before any match actually happened, somebody returned. Somebody chose NWA to return to. Yes, it's Aaron Stevens. Aaron Stevens. People are like, who the hell is Aaron Stevens? Oh, let me say he's Damian Sandow. Yeah, now you know him. Now that might spark your interest to watch NWA on Tuesdays at 6:05 on YouTube. Guys, it's free. And it's an hour. And it's better than anything WWE is putting out right now. And you're going to see people that, oh my God, I will continue to push this one. Thunder Rosa is going to be on this show in a couple weeks. The Rock and Roll Express is going to be on NWA in a couple weeks. Even though they're 60 plus years old, they'll put on a better match than Heavy Machinery. I don't need to see the Caterpillar. I need to see Ricky Morton doing a freaking Hurricanrana off the top rope, whatever. He's 60. That's entertaining. The seeing somebody as fat as me rolling around the ring, I don't know. I'm okay with that. James Storm, entertaining. the wild card against Kingston and Homicide. Awesome. And I'm telling you, right now, Nick Aldis is the champ. 10 pounds of gold. He is just representing NWA. I'll say it like this. I fell in love with him at the Crockett Cup because he's a wonderful human being. But just the way that he represents NWA is amazing. And the storyline with Camille, again, is awesome. Camille, great. Guys, NWA is going to have an impact. No pun there. It's going to have an impact on wrestling. Billy's doing it right. Baby steps. Baby steps. And if you're an old school fan, jump on YouTube 605 on Tuesdays if you want to watch it live. Or watch it with me at 1 o'clock on Wednesday afternoons once I got out of work. I do take a little bit of breaks for wrestling, but then I compound days where I watch a lot of wrestling. Colt Cabana and Mr. Anderson, also a formidable tag team on NWA. Guys, it's fun. They pack a ton of wrestling in that hour. All right, let's get to the Wednesday Night Wars. I'll cover NXT briefly, and then the English Professor has AE Dubs, which I thought was good. I agree 3/4 of the time with the English Professor, so you're going to be like, what the hell is Mark talking about? I didn't hear the English Professor yet, but I'm just going to tell you ahead of time, I agree. There's too much of this, not enough of that. He doesn't talk a lot about the women's match. He talks about all the rest. If Britt Baker's on TV, I don't care. I'm watching it. Britt Baker, she's from Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania. She went to IWC to hone her skills. She's a dentist. She graduated from Pitt. She loves Penn State. There's nothing about Britt Baker that I don't like. I'm going to watch her. So her match against Riho, I don't think she is ready for the AEW Championship. So to give her even a match, all right, you're featuring her. I understand that. I do understand that. I want to see Britt Baker beat the Christ out of Brie Presley. That's what I want to see right now in AEW. I don't want her to have the championship. Britt Baker doesn't need the championship in AEW. She's your number one draft pick in the women's division. Not counting Brandy because she's sleeping with the owner. I'm just saying, I'm okay with Britt Baker not winning it there. I'm okay with anything else. We do need to see some more of the women. Where the hell's Allie at? Just because Nyla, lost the title, she hasn't been on again now. Switch this up. Switch this up a little bit. Jericho can take a week off. I understand he's your champion. He can take a week off. But John covers AEW for the most part. It's a good show. Man, it's a good show. When you have a 9-year-old saying they don't want to watch NXT and they're content watching AEW, you're building a brand right. So, for NXT, Tommaso Ciampa starts the show against Angel Garza. I don't know if that's Matt Garza's brother. Matt Garza was a starting pitcher for several teams in the Major League Baseball. Ciampa, quick win. The Era comes out after the match, and a lot is going on here. They're talking with Tommaso. They're giving a USB video that, the truck has to look at to make sure it was all right. So you're like, holy shit, what's going on? They come back from break, and they can show the video. It's the Undisputed Era laying waste to Velveteen Dream. And Adam Cole leaves a message for Finn Balor and or Tommaso Ciampa. After that, guys, NXT sucked as well. Nothing really was like, oh man, I really wanted to see that. John and I talked off air about this, pre-recording his segment, that sometimes you need to sprinkle. There's 4 people in the NXT. 3 championships. You have the heavyweight, you have the North American, and you have the tag team. Hey, folks, that's a minimum of 3 segments right there. They're your hottest thing right now. DJ Robinson told you months ago. I said, this is what needs to happen. This is what needs to happen. Downfall is they're not using it right. As much as we were sick of the Shield, they had 5 or 6 segments. All right, they worked it over. They need to do the same thing right now with Undisputed Era. One segment during an episode of NXT, an early one, and then you have Birch and Lurkin against Imperial, and then Johnny Gargano saying he's NXT for life. EO against Caden Carter. Where are we going here? Riddle against Branson Reed. Guys, nothing is standing out right now. I was happy to see Tegan Knox come back. I really was. But it's the same Dakota Kai story. And then Baszler comes out and, the 4 horsewomen minus Ronda of MMA give these 2 broken down girls with no knees the business. The business! As Dusty would say. I give them the business. I can't. There's other people that's been on the show that does the Dusty better. Killian Dane against Boa again. Whoa. And then I was happy to see Punishment Martinez, Damian Priest, come out and fight Pete Dunne. It was a display of his fighting capability. It really was. I'm also one that's not high on Pete Dunne. Never a big fan of Pete Dunne. But all in all, nothing happening. Nothing happening. Guys, I posted it on Friday, I believe. This Wednesday Night Wars. Look at the numbers. The numbers are going downhill. And there was no baseball, by the way, Wednesday night. It got rained out. The numbers for both are drastically dropping. AEW has won all 3. And it's okay. Fine and dandy. But a wrestling podcast is going to say this. There's too much wrestling, guys. It's rough getting all this wrestling in for fans. And unless you have Mrs. Can Crusher that will go upstairs and watch the ID Network or the Golden Girls, a lot of women are not going to let their men watch 18 hours of wrestling. Not going to happen. I have a good one. And so does the English professor, because here he comes.
Paul Orndorff jumped into the ring, and with a big right haymaker from downtown to King Kong Bundy's jaw, Mr. Wonderful sent the walking condominium crashing to the mat. Another John Wayne punch from Orndorff floored Big John Studd, and the team that can't be slammed slid under the bottom rope where they were met by Bobby the Brain Heenan. The Hulkster had been battered by Bundy and Studd and lay in a heap in the middle of the ring. Orndorff helped the world champion to his feet and raised his hand as the 2 were victorious by disqualification over the cheating villains. Vince McMahon cheered Orndorff's heroics, but complained about how long it took Mr. Number Wonderful to make the save. He sure took his sweet time about it, Vince grumbled. Nevertheless, they'll get the Duke, Vince continued before being interrupted by the unthinkable. Paul Orndorff drilled Hulk Hogan with the clothesline. Hogan's shoulders, neck, and head smacked off of the mat. What? Vince muttered, short of breath. Bruno Sammartino maintained his poise, but was just as stunned as Vince and all of the fans. What in the heck was that all about? Bruno asked, ending his question with the preposition. Orndorff reached down and lifted Hogan to his feet. Vince begged Orndorff to stop with a no at every phase of the piledriver. Mr. Wonderful wrapped his knees around the Hulkster's head. No. He lifted the champ up high. No. He jumped in the air and drove Hulk's head into the mat. No! the man who told my generation to train, pray, and eat vitamins, convulsed on the mat, his left leg twitching. The shock to his spinal column also caused the Hulkster's upper body to spasm intermittently. During the Hulk's central nervous system issues, Paul Orndorff cupped his hands to his ears to listen more closely to the reaction of the fans, mocking the world champion. Studd and Bundy climbed into the ring to reunite with their fellow member of the Heenan family and to help him terminate Hulkamania. Fortunately for all of the little Hulksters, two of the three Islanders, Haku and Siviafi, and the American Express of Mike Rotundo and Danny Spivey, not to be confused with the U.S. Express of Mike Rotundo and the recently departed Barry Windham, rushed the ring to save the champ. Rotundo and Spivey wrestled earlier on the televised card, which was designed to showcase the multitude of teams the WWF had by pitting them in squash or moderately competitive matches against enhancement talent or mid-card guys. The Islanders did not wrestle in a televised match, but their appearance during the Hulk save gave us fans a chance to see them and register them as yet another viable title contender. During the course of the hour, which culminated with easily one of the top 10 heel turns of all time, World Tag Team Champions, the British Bulldogs, and their manager, Captain Lou Albano, gave their assessments of tandems like the Dream Team, the Hart Foundation, and the Killer Bees. Magnificent Morocco hosted the Body Shop with Fred Blassie and Jimmy Hart, so the Fashion Plate could talk about the Iron Sheik and Nikolai Volkov, and the Mouth of the South could tell us why his chances for success were doubled as he managed the Hart Foundation and the Funk Brothers. On Wednesday night, AEW followed a similar formula on their Dynamite show as they showcased more tournament matches to crown the first AEW Tag Team Champions. Just like that fateful day in 1986, AEW completed their program with a match featuring the World Champion and also had a betrayal in a tag team match. For the most part, I thought it was a successful, entertaining show, but I saw three problems during the course of the night that have become staples throughout all of pro wrestling. Firstly, there were entirely too many devastating high spots that resulted in false finishes. Secondly, there were way too many high spots for the sake of high spots. Thirdly, I didn't see much in the way of tag team wrestling. Instead, what I saw during the matches were four individuals wrestling in one match. Once upon a time, if you found yourself on someone's shoulders in a tag team match, or even just bear hugged a few feet off the match was over. It didn't matter if you were a Mulkey brother or Sting. If Animal and Hawk hit the Doomsday device, you weren't moving for a while. If Scott carried you on his shoulders, you knew Rick was ending it with the Bulldog. If Blair hoisted you in the air, Brunzell's dropkick finished you. Bubba Ray Dudley took to Twitter to complain about Dash Wilder and Scott Dawson paying homage to the late Anvil by using the Heart Attack clothesline, only to have Matt Hardy kick out at 2. They used one of the best tag team finishes in all time as a mid-match spot. WTF, Dudley wrote. During the course of the night, we saw earth-shattering moves like powerbomb superplex combos that resulted in 2 counts. I understand athletes evolve. Many of my beloved 80s heroes will confess that they couldn't do what the wrestlers today are doing. But I believe this is a dangerous formula that lacks credibility. I watched one ECW show in my life. Mark invited me over to watch a match featuring Raven. I don't remember his opponent, but during the course of the match, the two men used chairs, tables, bats, chains, machetes, and semi-automatic weapons. They poked out each other's eyes, ripped off each other's testicles, and chopped off each other's limbs. Nothing could keep these men down. Then, to the blind side of the referee, Raven pulled an Iron Sheik and stomped his foot on the mat a few times before kicking the guy in the head for the 3 count. Joey Styles screeched that Raven loaded his boot when the ref wasn't looking. So let me get this straight. Everything else was legal, but loading his boot was off limits. Furthermore, nothing Raven did could defeat his opponent, but a loaded boot was the proverbial last straw. I thanked Mark for having me over, but I told him I hated it and I wouldn't be watching any more ECW. I'm almost positive every tag team match on TNT Wednesday night featured a suicide dive or a moonsault onto the arena floor. I'll give WWE credit in that they reserve certain high spots for certain wrestlers. You can count on Seth Rollins doing a suicide dive through the ropes and Charlotte doing a moonsault onto the floor. But used sporadically, they become special. Used too often, they become boring. Jon Moxley is a throwback wrestler who can cut a promo and organically involve the crowd. It isn't always about the easy way out of clapping your hands and yelling, "Come on!" to the audience. Moxley can give a certain look or even take a deep breath that helps to tell a piece of the story. In the ring, he always finds himself where he needs to be without making it look like he was supposed to be there. His match with Pac against Hangman Page and Kenny Omega was fine, but seemed chaotic and disjointed. Rather than working together, all four men seemed to have their own agenda. I'm fairly certain that I've used this forum to mention that I attended the first WrestleMania at Madison Square Garden on March 31st, 1985. But I don't think I've ever informed you that I attended the lead-up card 2 weeks before WrestleMania on March 17th, which was actually better than WrestleMania. One of the matches was a six-man tag team contest featuring Big John Studd, Ken Patera, and Jesse the Body Ventura against Andre the Giant, Superfly Snuka, and the Junkyard Dog. All three of the heels were known for being powerlifters and could apply torturous bear hugs. Studd, Patera, and Ventura cornered Snuka and used frequent tags, sometimes no tags at all, while switching off bear hugs. Every few seconds, just as the Superfly would begin to withstand the suffocating pain, a fresh, muscle-bound brute would enter the match and start over with his version of the bear hug. Eventually, Andre found himself tagged into the match and face-to-face with Studd. Later, the Eighth Wonder of the World would connect a big boot to Ventura's face. In the end, Snuka jumped off of Andre's shoulders onto Ventura for the win. I was hoping to see more build-up for Omega and Moxley to finally meet. I think part of the problem is I'm not sure what to make of Moxley. Is he a good guy or a bad guy? This is important for fans to know. Moxley doing his best to avoid Omega by tagging in Pac or by running away would have built more anticipation for the eventual payoff of the two finally fighting. And instead of the slugfest, Omega bumping Moxley around would do more to give us fans some concrete details about who they are and why we should care about their feud. But to paraphrase our good buddy Jumpin' Jim Brunzell, everyone is a badass and there are no baby faces anymore. A friend of mine called and asked if I had seen any highlights of the Jets' only win this season. I told him I was watching Archie Bunker instead. He said, "You're an old soul, aren't you?" Maybe I am. I realize I am likely in the minority with my take on Dynamite. Reviews for this week's episode have been very positive, and one need only watch the show and hear the chants of "This is awesome" and "AE-dub" to know that my take doesn't resonate with anyone under 40. But I still think tried and true storytelling is better than countless high spots. I think a wrestler's genuine reaction to the crowd is better than a devastating false finish. I think two guys working as a team throughout a match and seeing real communication between them beats one super high spot that ends up being a throwaway move in the middle of a match. I also think that if you have Aaron Judge on first base and DJ LeMahieu on second with no one out and Brett Gardner at the plate in a one-run game, you bunt. Jim Ross and Tony Schiavone were great on commentary as usual. Ross pointed out the positioning of the wrestlers' feet, telling us how their stances maximized balance. Corny? Maybe. Believable? Perhaps we're all too smart for that now. But at the very least, Ross is pointing out a detail that gets me focused. I'm watching the wrestlers' feet and listening closely to JR. I want AEW to be great. The storylines are much better than WWE's. With only 3 weeks under its belt, AEW has already run angles that have lasted longer than some WWE harebrained ideas. Seeing the shows finish with the good guys and bad guys brawling not only brings back fond memories of Sid Vicious, Arn Anderson, and Barry Windham needlessly putting the boots to Rocky King until Sting, Lex Luger, and the Steiners made the save, it also tells me what I need to know about the heels and faces and the battle lines drawn. I worry that AEW will forsake the important details just to squeeze in one more reverse Hurricane Rana from the top rope. In today's English tip of the week, let's review some instances where we are mistakenly using prepositions when we should be using verbs and past participles. This is a common, albeit unacceptable, error many people make when writing. In his last WWF match, Razor Ramon had Hunter Hearst Helmsley pinned, but the referee was unconscious. Had the referee been awake, things may have turned out differently for the bad guy. So would we say El Jefe should have won that match, OF? Or would we say El Jefe should have won that match, HAVE? The answer is B. He should have, HAVE, won that match, not should have, OF. What we're really thinking when we type should of is should have, SHOULD apostrophe VE, the contraction of should have. This is true of would have and could have too. With 2 Intercontinental titles and 2 Tag Team Championships apiece, rumor has it, Vince McMahon was trying to decide if Tito Santana or Bret Hart would carry the WWF title. He gauged fan reactions in Mexico and Canada to help him make that decision. Our neighbors to the north were more receptive to the WWF brand of wrestling, and Bret Hart beat Ric Flair. But had the reactions in Mexico been more favorable, would we say that Tito could have been champion, H-A-V-E, or that he could have been champion, O-F? Once again, the answer is have. Remember, of, O-F, is a preposition and can't be combined with a verb. When you say could of, you mean could have or could have. And with that, class,
you're dismissed.
This is Jimmy Nuts, and you're listening to Can Crusher Podcast. Let's go nuts.
Oh, we are going nuts. We always go nuts here on Can Crushers. Jimmy, thank you for recording that. As always, it's wonderful to hear from you. It's time for our favorite segment, and Paul's not here, but I do have a garbage tip. I really do, but we're going to wait. We're going to go through our shtick, as Paul likes to call it, our shtick. Pro Printing and Office, LLC, 814-834-3006. Dave Allsmom will be able to print up anything for you. They just didn't print Paul's wedding invitations. Nope. He went somewhere else. Nonetheless, they'll do a great job printing things up for you. Give them a phone call. They're in St. Mary's, Pennsylvania, 814-834-3006. Collar and elbow, guys. You hear us talk about this every show. Collar and elbow. They have hats, hoodies, tees, sweats, anything that is comfortable. It is amazingly comfortable. The English professor talks about his shirt. There's nice, soft shirts. I have 4 shirts from Collar and Elbow. It's definitely 4 shirts and a hoodie. And I would live in them. Literally live in them, how comfortable they are. They are just soft. They are made well for thicker guys like myself and Paul and the English professor. 2 of the 3 are trying to get into shape. Somebody is not. But they feel good. They're a nice soft shirt, and they change their schemes, not their shtick, their schemes every so often. So there's new shirts always available, and we want to give you 10% off. So type in Can Crushers, all one word, capital C in can, capital C in Crushers, and you'll get 10% off. So it's saving you money, but we're transparent, so we let you know some of that money gets kicked back to us, and we use it to buy beer or more shirts from Collar and Elbow. That's what we do with our money that we get kicked back to the podcast. We give it back to Collar and Elbow. If I could have more than one hoodie, I would have more than one hoodie. I love them. I really do. Everything from Collar and Elbow is made to feel good. So go to collarandelbow.com, hats, hoodies, tees, and type in Can Crushers, and you'll get 10% off. Just like Daniel Robinson, he contacts us and says how stupid I am thinking the Undisputed Era is going to run the NXT. Well, he contacted me on Facebook and Instagram. You guys can contact us there too. It's Facebook and Instagram at CanCrushers69, and we're there. And while you're on Facebook, guys, make sure you vote in our tournament, 6-man tournament, Trial of Trios tournament. It's just a 6-man tournament. Some teams that are coming up that have not been showcased yet: Team Storm, the Varsity Club, DX, the Entourage, the Shield. Guys, you know, they're all coming up. They're there. They're going to be in the mix. Make sure you vote for your favorites. I'm still pissed that you guys didn't give the win to the It Girls. You can also email us at cancrusher69@gmail.com and check out our website, as we are proud supporters now of the Cauliflower Alley Club. Sent our money in, and hopefully some of the other Can Crushers will also send their money in, but we sent that in. We're huge supporters of the Cauliflower Alley Club. Make sure you check out their website at caulifloweralleyclub.org, and find out what an amazing organization this is. Go back and listen to our B. Brian Blair interview. He goes real in depth about it. Jumpin' Jim touches on it, and this week's guest, Beef Stew Lou Marconi, also talks about the Cauliflower Alley Club. Really, guys, look into this. If you're an old school fan like I am, or if you're looking forward to people like Corey Storm or Drew Hernandez, or just the amount of young superstars in OVW, should be part of this too. This is an organization that helps talent that has entertained us, Mark the Mark, the whole time. Again, caulifloweralleyclub.org. If you can become a member, do it. It's well worth it. If you want to give back to wrestling and you only have a few bucks here and there, this is the way to do it. You're going to hear this a lot. We are strong supporters of it. You can find all this information out on our website. It's cancrusher69.wixsite.com/cancrushers. Or you just listen to us. You can listen to us everywhere. At iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, Buzzsprout, iTunes, Google Podcasts, on hundreds and millions and hundreds and trillions of other places that have podcasts. Just type in Can Crushers. And don't forget, you can always download the app. It's called the WrestlePost app. And it's not just for us. It really isn't. You can listen to Can Crushers. You can listen to other podcasts on this WrestlePost app. Guys, this is run by one person doing all the legwork. He is finding out what is going on in South Dakota on a Saturday in June or March or whenever. And he's posting it on this app to keep everybody informed. He really is doing this solo by himself. So help him out. Go to the WrestlePost app. If you're in New York and you want to go to wrestling this weekend, boom, pull up New York, pull up the wrestling schedule. It's there. You want to listen to other Can Crushers podcasts, boom, we're on there. You want to listen to another podcast completely, boom, they're on there. You want to reach out to talent to book them for an event. This is for promoters. Boom, they're on there. This app is the way to go. It's called the WrestlePost app. It's a free freaking app on iTunes and or Google or Android. Get it. Guys, it's a no-brainer, the WrestlePost app. Big events coming up this Thursday in Pittsburgh. It's WrestleRex at the Rex Theater. LA Park, Sam Adonis, Facade, Gangrel is going to be there. Our girl Ray Lynn is going to be there. Lady Frost is going to be there. A huge event. Guys, the English professor and I went to one of the very first ones. It was great. Have not had the schedule working out correctly to get there again. Hopefully they round one around again in March or so that we can go to these. It's a frat party with wrestling. It's amazing. We will be down in Pittsburgh, though. This Saturday is Angel Gate, is in McKeesport. Rebel will be there. Max the Impaler will be there. So much great women's wrestling will be taking place this Saturday, October 26th, in McKeesport at Angel Gate. And I can't wait to meet some of these women and, getting a budding relationship going with them, getting them on the show as well, just, helping them do whatever, just cut promos, say they hate the Can Crushers, whatever, as long as they're talking to us. And then November 2nd, Winner Takes All IWC in Elizabeth, Pennsylvania, one of the biggest IWC shows of the year. We have some special guests coming up here in the real near future to talk about this IWC show. Probably 2 next week, cutting into some of the guys' time, but Got to give props to IWC. I know 2 for sure. Maybe more. 2 for sure. November 2nd, again, it's winner takes all IWC. Brian Cage is going to be there. Ethan Page is going to be there. Josh Alexander. So that's the North from Impact. Yeah, they're all going to be there. So a lot of great wrestling going on. And then again, at the end of November, over my wife's birthday, I will be in Winston-Salem along with Chad as we are going to WrestleCade, and we will bring you as much action, well, not action, just our thoughts, and maybe we can scoop some people up. But that's a month away. But save your money, guys. There's a lot going on. And I do know that Callie Young and Al Snow will be at WrestleCade, so pretty sure they will be on the podcast that weekend. But nonetheless, guys, we are wrapping it up for today. This Wednesday, Lou Marconi on the show, on a spotlight. And I'm super excited because this guy has a lot to say. Remember, just because you're trash doesn't mean you can't do great things. It's called a garbage can, not a garbage cannot.